Darren, hello, welcome to Midlife on Earth. Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to do so. Let's just kick off, if we may. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Andy's Man Club and why we're here today?
I've been employed now by Andy's Man Club. I one of the guys who stepped through the door for the first time about 2 years ago at my local club in Gosport. And then, like most guys do, they stick around and want to help the next guy who comes through the door. And then I had this amazing opportunity to actually go work for the charity. So my actual job role is project development champion. I work for the whole of the Southeast. So basically anywhere south of Hertfordshire is my area, and I help support in Cornwall and Devon at the moment. So the premise of Andy's Man Club is we're a peer-to-peer support group, non-judgmental. Any guy over the age of 18 can simply come along on a Monday from 7 till 9 and get anything off their chest that's really troubling them. It's quite a simple way of working. It's very structured. No matter where you go in the country, to whatever club you go to, which there are 123 at the moment, you will get the same experience in every club. Just come along and have a chat and see what it's like.
It sounds like such a simple premise, and obviously such a powerful one. This week is mental health week. Why is it, on a fundamental level, why is it important for us to talk about men's mental health, not just this week, but all year round?
You've hit the head. It's an all year round problem. So the mental health week just emphasises it. So you get all the companies and the big institutions involved, and they really do push for men to talk. We've got that stigma, haven't we, where we've got to be the strong ones. We've got to support everyone, support our families. But a lot of us secretly inside are struggling. It's anything. It's simple little things that can push you over the edge. And unfortunately, with males, they don't talk, and they, unfortunately, a lot of them take the ultimate. And we need to just get people talking. It can be anyone. So sons, brothers, fathers, grandfathers, anyone who needs to talk can come along.
You mentioned the word stigma there as something that's still hanging around and still there, despite the fact that we do talk a lot more around mental health now. It's a lot more in the press. It's a lot more out there, and over recent years, people do talk about it a lot more. I actually have a bit of an issue with the term sort of mental health in itself, in the fact that it's so broad and so all-encompassing. It can cover everything, that whole spectrum from low mood all the way through to suicidal ideation, and that the real top level. What would your advice be to someone watching this, to a guy watching this, in terms of recognizing in yourself when your mental well-being may be taking a knot and you might need a hand or to reach out for support? How do you recognize that in yourself?
Unfortunately, my first wife died by suicide. So I had the bang, here we go, welcome to mental health, or the stigma. The word stigma comes up, and that puts mental health right at the forefront. I became very antisocial, is the best way of putting it. So I wouldn't go out of the house. You start losing friends. You're not eating properly. You're just functioning, is the best way of putting it. I was going to work. The only reason I left the house was because I had to walk the dogs. But apart from that, I didn't want any social interaction with anyone. So you draw in on yourself. The way I saw it is I fell down a well, and there wasn't an awful lot of help coming, from people reaching down and trying to pull me out. It's when you start losing friends, that's when you really think, well, what's going on? Is it me or is it them? And if you've got that feeling, and sometimes you want to scream, and unfortunately, when you go down certain avenues, the screaming it doesn't help, because they say, well, you have this, or do this, or try this service. And for me, it was 5 years of not turmoil, but just looking at myself and understanding, and not going, you know, if you've got someone who dies by suicide who's very close to you, you've had that ripple effect. So everyone else is affected within that close circle. And it was the question of why, and that was what was troubling me all the time. Why did this happen? Why did this course of action happen to me? And then you realize that there is a reason for why it's happened, and you have to live with that reason. So me actually verbalizing it and talking to other guys, you know, and women who I've talked to about it, it's just help relieve that pressure, take some of that weight off me. And when you can look round a room or look at people and they're nodding as you're talking, you're getting that appreciation, they're actually taking it in. So it does take that pressure off you, and it helps you realize, yeah, people will listen, people do understand, and it's not just me who's suffering like I am at the moment. And that's just a general for everyone who's suffering from mental health. You're not alone, and you do feel very much alone when you are suffering, because you push everyone away. You don't want anyone to help you, but just talking about it and then seeking help in any other way you can. And all the services are there. I mean, there are brilliant services around at the moment for mental health.
It sounds so easy when you talk about it, doesn't it? In terms of, you know, it's good to talk. It's, you know, this Andy's Man Club's slogan, it's okay to talk. It sounds so easy, but I know from personal experience that it's not. You know, being brave enough to talk about it is a challenge in itself. And I must admit, from my own experiences, and you know, after I was diagnosed with cancer, and I sort of sunk into a bit of a hole, and it just as you were describing, and I totally recognize what you were talking about. But I found it incredibly hard to actually talk about it, and I actually found that what helped me was talking, but not talking about it. All I found was a lot of my friends and family wanted to talk to me about it, ask me how I was, how are you, but I didn't want to. I want to talk about anything else other than that. So is it fair to say that you know, peer support and talking about it, or talking full stop, is what's important? You don't necessarily have to talk about your problems, but talking in general terms can also be beneficial.
Oh yes, most definitely. Yeah, but when you're talking about, you know, the problem that you're suffering at the moment, is you've got to try and get a way of looking at it from a different direction as well. So you've got to be quite progressive. So even though, you know, like you're saying with your cancer and generally living with that, it's finding a positive, so you're not constantly in that negative frame of mind it is recoverable from. And then you can start, like what you're doing now is with the podcast, you're actually being very positive about a thing that's really affected your life. And that's the same sort of thing when you're going to Andy's Man Club. And sometimes a simple positive is that you're here, and you're here now, is a huge positive, because you're not looking behind you all the time. You've got to try and look forwards, look to tomorrow, look to next week, look to next month. And then 6 months down the line, you'll think, oh, where was I in January? And then you look at yourself now and go, wow, the lowest of the low at that point in my life. And I'm now here, I'm talking to other guys, I'm getting other guys to open up, I'm socializing, you know, I've got my family back. And that's one of the huge things that you do get when you start talking, and when you realize that you aren't alone in what you're suffering from. I mean, it could be any illness, but once you start to hear other people's stories about that same illness, about the same problem you're going through, it just helps you to know that there are more people out there, rather than you being stuck on that path and not seeing any deviation from it. The fact that you've got people who can walk beside you, in a way, it helps tremendously.
So what would your advice be then to somebody thinking, you know, you might have heard of Andy's Man Club, thinking of coming along, but maybe nervous about doing so? What would your advice be, and what can they expect from that first time they turn up?
It's not to overthink it. All you're doing is going along and meeting a bunch of guys who are like-minded. How Andy's Man Club works is you go in through the door, you get welcomed, and everyone there is welcoming. It doesn't matter what stage they're at, where they've come. How it works is there's 5 questions, and the questions work out as so a name and a positive reason for being there. So that's your first one. How's your week been? And then we've got a question. which is anything to get off your chest. And this is the big one. So sometimes the guys will go, you guys go, no, I just want to see what it's about. I'll talk about it next week. Or they will go full in and tell us exactly what's troubling them, or what they're unhappy about. Question 4, which is like a thinking question. Example would be, if you could invite 4 people to dinner, who would it be and why? So it just gets the guys thinking, and it puts the first 3 questions to bed. And then the last question, it can be like a really quick fire. You can only eat one pie for the rest of your life. What flavour pie would it be? So that some people will say apple pie, or some will say steak and kidney pudding, and then there'll be the arguments that that's not a pie, it's a pudding. And the one that always gets people laughing is, which way around would you have the toilet roll? And it's a simple little thing like that, just getting guys laughing and leaving all the baggage that's in the room, because whatever is said in an Andy's Man Club session stays in that session. It doesn't get taken out. The only time this changes is if there's a safeguarding. We don't take names, so there's no data held about the guys or anything like that. And if the guys want to come next week, come next week. And that's how it works. You'll get guys who don't turn up for 3 or 4 weeks, and they'll come again and go, I really missed it, because Monday is my routine. I can just think, right, on Monday, I can go in and let it all out, and then think, right, week ahead, all good. And then get round to Monday again. That's a simple premise of how Andy's Man Club works.
Well, you've explained it brilliantly, Darren. Thank you ever so much. And if anything, there's free tea and biscuits, so there's a reason to go.
Exactly, yeah, that's why most people go.
Fantastic. Listen, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it, and I wish you well for this month and all the challenges that May brings in terms of mental health awareness and so on. And listen, good luck with Andy's Man Club, and it'll be good to keep in touch.
Yes, certainly, we will do. Thank you very much for having me.